Hi there, my stamping friends. Today I'm going to use the Game On stamp set from Stampin' Up! To make this vintage backgammon game board. Are you ready for some crafting fun? Thanks for joining me. I am Rosellen Eastman from My Stamping Friends. And if you are watching me make this vintage backgammon game board using the Game On stamp set from Stampin' Up!, make sure to comment below so I know who's joining me and where you're joining from. I'm always curious about that. If it's the first time you're joining me, then welcome. I'm glad to have you here. If you are here for the second time or multiple times, if you've been here before, then welcome back. I'm going to mention a lot of products today, and you can find them all on my website, mentioned right here on the screen with the hostess code. Just as a quick reminder, if you order $35 or more in product from me, then you will get a free tutorial, 15 projects, color photos, the complete monthly tutorial from me. If you comment on this video within the first week of me posting it, you're going to get a chance to win the giveaway, which tonight is going to be this project right here. So, like I said, today I'm going to show you how to make this vintage backgammon game board using the Game On stamp set from Stampin' Up! So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to show you guys is I'm going to gather all of my supplies first and then assemble everything at the end. So the first thing I did, I want to show you how I cut these little wooden inlay pieces for the game board. I grabbed a piece of designer series paper from the In Good Taste designer series paper from Stampin' Up! And this is 2 inches by however long you want it to be. It can be, 4 inches, I think is what I started at. So I'm going to take the bottom right-hand corner of this piece of designer series paper, and I'm going to put it right above my 1.5 centimeter mark. I'm just going to hold it there. And then this piece I'm going to put in the track where you're going to cut, okay? I'm going to move my blade down to the bottom, and this is the scoring blade, so I'm just going to put that up at the top. So just make sure you've got this bottom corner at 1.5 and that one in the track, and then just slice, and you're going to get a triangle. See? Then in order to get more triangles, you just put this corner you sliced down in the bottom of the track, and then slice down, you're going to get another triangle. And keep going. So put this one up on the top again at 1.5 and this one in the track. So you've got the hint, right? Perfect. In order to save time, I've gone ahead and cut a whole bunch of these. I cut some in the wood, and I also cut some in very vanilla, since that's what we're going to be using for our little inlays. I am going to grab my silicone sheet here and another piece of designer series paper from the same pack of In Good Taste. And this is a pack of designer series paper, has a lot of wood tones, and then on the back it has stones or fabric, just so you know which one I'm talking about. Speaking of which, all of that will be mentioned in the description below, so you can check that out. Now I am going to place these on my game board right here. Since I want to keep them even from top to bottom, what I'm going to do is put a spacer in. I put a little bit of adhesive on the back of this, and I'm going to stick it down. I'm not worried about it if it rips the paper when I pull it back up, because it's going to be hidden under that right there. So this is a 4-inch piece of paper. What I'm going to do, 4 by 5 1/4. What I'm going to do is just center this at the 2-inch, make the 2-inch mark the center and put that down. Okay, so I just have a general idea of where I want these to go. Now these inlay pieces, when I'm putting down an odd number of items on there, I'm going to start at the sides, then go to the center, and then put in the 2 to split the difference. I'm going to go ahead and use my Tombow Mono liquid glue, my multi-adhesive here. And I keep mine stored upside down like this, so that when I take it out, it's ready to use. There's glue right up in the tip right now. And the one thing I want to caution you about is that there is latex in this glue. So if you have any latex allergies, or if anybody you know is using this glue with latex allergies, there is a possibility for a reaction. So just know that ahead of time. I've got my take your pick tool right here, and I'm just spreading that glue out a little bit. That was a lot of glue. Hold that off to the side. I'll reuse that. And I'm just going to place this down. I'm eyeballing how much space I want on the side, and I'm going to put it right up to that mark. Grab my next piece. You can use the same glue that I just smeared on there. Perfect. And I'm going to put it on this end, right about there. Looks good to me. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's handmade, but if you really like things to be spot on, you certainly can measure them out if you want to. So a little bit more adhesive on the center one, about there. Now these triangles are going to hang off the bottom. Don't worry about that. You're going to trim them off later. And now for the two, to split the difference, I'm going to use the Very Vanilla. And I am just going to lay it down right there. I couldn't do this part beforehand, so it's just going to take a moment. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Just putting a little bit of glue on there. I can spread it around with this if I want to. Now, while we're sitting here gluing down these little triangle inlay pieces, you guys can, if you want to, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell, and so you can find out when I am hosting and posting new videos and when I'm hosting live events as well. Now this side is going to be a lot easier because I'm just doing the opposite. If I had Very Vanilla on that side, I'm going to use the wood tone on this side. So just kind of line it up and press it down. Once this video is over, if you don't follow me on Facebook, you can go look on Facebook for me. I put live videos on Facebook every Wednesday night and Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can catch me on there. And my page name is Stampin' Up with Rose-Ellen. So that looks like a minus sign. And you should be able to find me on there. I have a group where you can post things. I'd love to see when I teach somebody how to do something and they make a project with it. And then they want to show it to me. I think they should show it to lots of people. So I have a page started and you can put your own projects on that page. So much fun. Okay. There you go. Now, if you have any glue that has come out the sides, make sure you try and get it off quickly. And you don't want to rub it with your finger. You actually want to get it off with your a tool of some sort, because like I said, there's latex in there. So if you rub, it'll just leave a sticky, blob on your paper. Now, while this is wet from the glue, I'm just going to set it off to the side and we're going to work on something else. Close up my glue and I can get these out of the way. Now what I'd like to work on is our sentiment. This stamp set comes with 5 images and 3 sentiments, which I think are just fantastic. You can do chess, bunco, any kind of game that has dice in it, like from Las Vegas, or card games, and this is even, I think, for chess or checkers. So the sentiment that I chose for today is hope your day is all fun and games. And we're going to stamp that in real red ink right here. And I'm going to show you how I got that label to be just the right size. So I'm going to pull in a piece of Very Vanilla and a piece of Basic Black. And what I did with these is I got my lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch, which you can make labels with 2 different designs on the end. And I trimmed one end of each piece. From there, I'm going to ink up my sentiment. And let's see if, while all of you are watching, if I can get this centered towards the left side. Yeah, that's not so bad. Yay me. All right, so I'm going to put that down. And I am going to trim this out to make it the right size so it'll fit into the punch. Now, when I first put this into the punch and punched it, this little bit came off the end. So what I wanted you to do is save that little bit, and we are going to just hold it on the other side like that, wherever you want it to be, like so that these sides are even. You don't want to hold it way down here, because then if you punch it way down there, you're going to have a lot extra space on your tab. So hold it down there towards that side. And I'm just going to grab my pen real quick after I close up my ink. I'm going to grab my pen or pencil, whatever you have handy. I'm going to hold that where I think it should be so that it's even. And I'm just going to put a very light little line on there. Once I've done that, I'm going to take my snips, they're right here, and I'm going to cut that line. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect. From there, I'm going to grab a Post-it note, and I'll explain this little trick to you. So this is a regular Post-it note. I'm just going to cut off a little strip of it. This is the sticky end of the Post-it note. And you're going to put the sticky end of the Post-it note on the end you've already trimmed. What that's essentially doing is making your piece of paper a little bit longer so that you can stick it back in the punch, in the track, slide it all the way down. If you didn't use that, it would just sit right there and be loose in the track. So now by using this piece of Post-it note, you're holding it in the right spot. Flip it over, make sure that it is centered from left to right. And if it's not, you can move it around if you want to. Just scoot it over a little bit left or right, however you like, and then punch. When you pull it out, it's the right size. See how we did that? Now, pull off your Post-it note, put it off to the side, and you're going to attach it to that with your Stampin' Seal Plus is what I've picked up here. Put that off to the side. Now I'm just going to line that up however I'd like it to be, however far away. If I want it to be really far and put a rhinestone down there, I could do that too. And I'm basically going to do the same thing I did with this. When I first cut this piece, I saved the little black piece that I cut off, and I'm just going to lay it on that side. But since I thought the black would be kind of hard for you guys to see, I did one in red also. I'm just going to hold it onto the side wherever I think the punch should end. Right about there looks good to me. And again, take my pen and make a little line. Doesn't have to be an entire line. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't even know if you can see that, but I can. It's right there. And I'm just going to trim that line again. After that, I'm going to get my Post-it note again, put it on the side I've already punched, because this is the side I'm going to put into the punch. Back into the Lovely Labels punch, slide it all the way down, flip it over so you can make sure that it is lined up left to right, however you want it to be. And if you want to move it, you can just, grab your snips or whatever you have handy that will fit in there. Your take a pick tool. I think that's about right. And then flip it over. Another little bit is going to come off, and that you don't need to save. When we pull this out, our label is the right size. Isn't that fun? This makes your labels, it stretches them a little bit so you can use them for more things. To attach that to the card, what I'm going to use is my black dimensionals. It's a double-sided foam tape cut in a honeycomb type shape. And you just pick it up. It's sticky on that side and stick it down. Don't remove that piece of paper yet. Just pick it up like this. And I'm going to put 3 in there. And just hold that off to the side because you're not going to use it just yet. Moving on, the next thing I'm going to do is grab a piece of real red cardstock. and my dice. I'm going to grab my Memento ink right here. And I'm going to ink that up and stamp it right there onto anywhere on this scrap. Doesn't really matter where it's going to be because you're going to cut it out. Close up my Memento ink, and from the magic of television, I'm going to bring in the piece I've already cut for you. Set that off to the side. All right, so we've got our label done. We've got our dice. We've got our board glued down, and now we just have to finish that. So I am going to bring my board back in. I can remove this spacer piece that I had here. It's just right there. And then what I'm going to do is just trim off the edges of these triangles. Whoops. Trim off the edges of these triangles. And I'm just going to go down the line. I like to flip my paper over when I'm trimming, because if I'm holding it right side up, I won't exactly know where the edge of the cardstock is, or the edge of the designer series paper. And the last one, there we go. Perfect. So a good bit of the game board is done. Now, in order to really make that stick together, what I did was I took my Subtles embossing folder, which is this one right here. It's got a very subtle pattern on it, which is why it's called Subtles. And I ran this through my embossing machine. So if you don't know, there's a line on the back of here that you can actually line your paper up with. You can flip it over if that's easier for you. Line it up this way, and then just grab the back. You can put it in wherever you'd like. So I'll show you how I did mine. Let me just move that out of the way. So I have my original book with my Big Shot here. I'm going to open up both tabs. I'm going to put down my embossing folder with my game board inside of it, right on top. And then I'm going to use my blue plate. And that is just one plate. That is a plate that is thick enough to run through here because the embossing folders are larger. So let me just pull that through. Move that out of the way. And then show you what we've got here. Now, I don't know if you can see it. It is very subtle. But here is the inlay. See, there's tiny little lines in there. Perfect. So the base of our card is a basic black, which is 5.5 by 8.5. And I folded mine in half, so it's 5.5 by 4.25. This designer series piece of paper was 5.25 by 4. So I'm just going to fold my base. Use my bone folder to make a really nice crease on there. Put some adhesive on the back of my card. Sorry, not my cardstock, my designer series paper. And I am going to lay this down on here. Now, if you can't get this straight on here, if you're nervous about it and you can't do it, there's a couple of different tips. You can open it up, which will make sure that the paper doesn't come up. And you can put it like that just by using your eyeballs, or you can take a pick tool. What I've taught people to do is see where the adhesive is right there. Just put it on the adhesive and then take that and line it up a little bit. So just put it wherever you think it should be. Let's line it up like that. Looks good. I'm just going to hold it there and I'm going to pull out my take a pick tool. So there is my basic game board. The next thing you're going to do is cut out these pieces. I used basic black and real red. And these pieces, you can use whatever you'd like to cut them out. I used a small circle punch that I had. The one I use is retired, but there are different punches we have that will work perfectly. One of them is the Freeze, it's in the new catalog. It is the Freezing Friends dies. And the other one is the Sweetest Borders dies that both have circles about this size. And this size doesn't exactly matter. I went ahead and beforehand, I cut them all out and I laid them on top of glue dots on my roll of glue dots here. So all I need to do now is just place them down. Now, for those of you that know how to play this game of backgammon, you might be saying that I'm putting these in the wrong spot. But I'm just going to go with what I remember from when I was a kid, because this is kind of a vintage game, right? So I'm just pulling off the glue dot and the piece, and I'm going to put them all on the dark brown wood. I think that looks good. So I've placed all the red ones, and now I'm going to place the black circles on the lighter, very vanilla cardstock triangles. And again, these can go kind of wherever you want them to, unless you are a backgammon aficionado and the person you're giving this card to is going to know that you've put these down in the wrong spot. Other than that, you better get them in the right spot, I guess, at that point. So almost done here. Okay, I've got a few more. And, oh, I did 2 on all of them. Let's see. I think that one should have 3. How about that? Perfect. I've used up all my circles, so I'm done with that. Now I'm going to add on my sentiment. So since we put the dimensionals on the back already, I'm just going to take off the little pieces of paper right off the back. Make sure it's right side up, and just place that wherever you'd like it to be. How about that? And then for our rolling dice, I use some Stampin' Seal Plus on the back of that. You could use glue dots. You could use, let's use some glue dots just because we've got them here handy and see what they look like. So what I do for that is I take this, I press down on my glue dot, and then when I pull up the cardstock, it's on the back. And then I'm going to put one on the back of the other dice. Now these dice look like they're rolling, so I just kind of want to make sure I get them in the right direction. I think that looks right to me. There we go. So that is the front of our card all done. It was actually really quick, wasn't it? So the last bit we have to do is the inside of the card. And I just took a piece of very vanilla, the first inside layer. It matches the same size as that DSP right here. So it's 5 1/4 by 4. I'm going to grab my dice stamp that I just used in the real red, and I'm going to clean it off because, I'm sorry, I used it in the black. I'm going to clean it off because I'm going to use it now in the real red. So I'm going to grab my chamois and just clean this off. This is just water on here. Clean that off. I've just put mine in one of our CD cases that we have. And on the inside, I'm going to use my real red ink. So open that up, get that inked up. And I'm just going to put this in that corner. Now it looks like the dice are rolling through the screen. I love it. So always want to close those up before I put my hands or cards in them accidentally. And now I'm just going to wash this off. Like I said, there's just water in there. So now the inside of our card is actually done. I'm going to attach it with some Stampin' Seal on the inside. So if you got some benefit or enjoyment out of this video, then smash that subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell, because that will let you know when I post my next video. And if there's something you want me to do on one of my next videos, then you can feel free to put that in the comments as well. I always go back and read and answer my comments. Is that, oh, I'm going to move that a little bit more to the right. So you can feel free to put suggestions of what you might want to see. If there's a Stampin' Up! Product that you don't remember how to use, or you don't know why you bought it. Let me just pull that up one more time. I think I'm getting it a little bit lower than I want it to be. There we go. Third time's a charm. I never know when my hands are inky, so I don't like to do that on a vanilla piece. I'll flip it over and rub the back instead. There you go. So there's the inside of my card and the front of my card. So like I said, if you want to see something in one of my future videos, feel free to let me know in the comments. I really hope you liked this project today. I'd love to see if you make one. So find me on Facebook and upload your picture to my Facebook page and let everybody ooh and ah over your creation. Thanks for watching me today. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad you were here with me today. I hope you like this Vintage Backgammon game board card that I used using the Game On stamp set from Stampin' Up. And I hope you learned some tips and tricks along the way today. Again, if you order $35 or more from me at my website right here, you are going to get that free bundle of tutorials for this month, completely free. Pictures, written descriptions, the whole caboodle. And like I said, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, and share if you liked my video. If you're not following me on Facebook, please go find me there at My Stamping Friends with Rose Ellen. I do Facebook Lives each Wednesday and Sunday evening at 7:30 Eastern Time. So until I see you next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay stamping.